joy and congratulations to the boys on their stunning victory. The coordinator of Sun Movement, Gambia, and Director General of West African Health Organization, on Monday paid a courtesy call on the Vice President and Minister of Women's Affairs, Fatoumata Jallow Tambajang, in her office at State House. The visitors spoke to Grts shortly after their meeting with the Vice President.
It was very important to listen firsthand to the strides that the Gambia is making in so short a time since the political transition, and also to see what, if any, are the areas where we can partner with the Gambia in terms of the West African Health Organization. I was extremely encouraged to understand that the Vice President also comes from a development background, having worked with UNDP, and so firsthand she is aware of what the problems are, the strategies that we can utilize to try and address some of them, and what the challenges will be. So it was almost like a meeting of minds, and I am extremely pleased going away from this meeting with the Vice President that we can go ahead as partners. But that is not in any way to say that the challenge is not extremely huge. It is a very big challenge, but as a region, the West Africa region is as strong as every member of the state is.
The visit to the Gambia is to encourage all partners to step up to fight undernutrition with babies, because undernutrition for babies is damaging the cognitive development and the body development, and to also support health, productivity, education, and to rethink the food system. That's all important for better nutrition in the Gambia. And in our meeting with the Vice President, but also with the Minister of Agriculture, the Minister of Education, and the Minister of Health and Women Affairs, Social Protection, we discussed the need for the government to work together between the departments in order to look at nutrition from different perspectives, from the perspective of health, the perspective of food, the perspective of education. That's all important. And that's where the Vice President said, we want to show leadership as the government, and we are happy that the UN organizations, UNICEF, WFP, FAO, and others are here to support us, and we also want donors to support us more, just like civil society and private sector.
Umanjai there talking to the coordinator of Sun Movement and the Director General of the West African Health Organization. Investigations into former President Yahya Jammeh's financial dealings and other related matters continue at the Janneh Commission of Inquiry. Monday's sittings witnessed a testimony by Mohamed Jaite in connection to the Westwood Company that was exporting red timber and was allegedly working with former Gambian President. Louis Mendy tells us more.
Mr. Jaite, the Director of Forestry, told the Janneh Commission that economically the Gambia lost millions of dollars to the exportation of timber, admitting it is difficult to establish the impact of the business on the country's forest cover. Mr. Jaite was responding to questions on the exportation of timber, mainly to China by the Westwood Company, a business allegedly controlled by former President Yahya Jammeh, to the disadvantage of Gambians from 2007 to 2017.
So what happened? What changed in 2014 when Westwood was allowed to export?
Actually, as I mentioned during my briefing, that 2014 I was not part of the department. I was in the office. But going through the files, I found out that these Westwood and then other companies, were identified. I don't know how. They were going about it, and then the letter was coming from OB informing the directorate about it. You see, because it's not only Westwood. I found out that then there is a company that was also given the permits, but later it was universal trading from OB. And this was the 2nd of April 2014. You know, they were given to export 1,000 containers. You know, which is not in line, I mean, with the procedure.
Hassan Jallo, the permanent secretary at the Ministry of Agriculture, was also at the Ghana Commission on Monday to help provide information on the alleged sale of the Japanese food aid to the Gambia by the Kanilai family farm, a business entity of former President Yahya Jammeh.
I cannot find anything that is helpful in terms of what was happening at the part of agriculture in relation to this food aid, which is quite significant.
Understand? I was not, just like I mentioned earlier, I was not responsible for the rice aid or any of these things. Yes, I wrote those letters at that particular time because the permanent secretary, the then permanent secretary, delegated me or instructed me to write those letters. Subsequently, I was not involved anymore. So basically, yes, my own knowledge of transactions or whatever transpired would be limited by only what confidence the sitting permanent secretary has on me at a certain particular period. And basically, maybe you may realize, or you may have known that, you may have learned that there were several changes. We had permanent secretaries in and out for that year especially, and the next year.
And on Skype all the way from New York in America, Muhammadu Batara Juara gave his version on the lifting of crude oil from Nigeria. Mr. Juara was the Deputy Chief of Protocol at the Office of the President in 1996.
I was a messenger, but then what those who negotiated this, I don't know them. And whether he was part of the negotiation, initial negotiation, I don't know. So, but I was instructed to travel with him. After I signed, proceed to Paris.
So tell us about the trip. So you did travel to Nigeria with him?
Yes, ma'am.
Right, so where did you go to Nigeria? And with whom did you meet?
I don't know. I know that I went to Nigerian National Petroleum Company.
Okay. You went,
the power of attorney I had.
Investigations into financial dealings and other related matters of former President Yahya Jammeh continues at the Ghana Commission. Louis Mendy, GRTS.
The National Assembly Select Committee monitoring the implementation of government projects on Monday inspected rehabilitation work at the Gambia Granite Corporation and the construction project of a new office complex for the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Banjul. Ibrahim Jallo was embedded with the committee and filed in this report.
Monday's engagement began at the Gambia Granite Corporation, GGC, where the monitoring committee, led by the chair, Honorable Suleiman Saho, had an open discussion with officials of the corporation. The Gambia Agency for Public Works, GAMWorks, is currently implementing a $30 million project for the GGC meant to improve the processing standard, storage facilities, and ensure efficient river transport for the raw materials and quality testing system at the laboratory. The challenges were visible in almost every section of the plant, bringing the operational capacity to a near death point.
The equipment you are seeing behind me here are parts for the conveyor system. It is procured to improve the processing standard of the plant. This is also one of the issues that the GGC is currently executing as part of their improvement process, being rolled under the $30 million project funded by IDB and the Gambia government alongside the corporation itself.
Farmers complain over less attention for the purchase of their granite produce was also raised by deputies in a frank discussion with top echelons of the corporation.
I advise you will continue to be mindful about the farmers, because once we tell the Gambian people we want change and the change has come, the coalition has to deliver.
The managing director of GGC confirmed that the corporation was still buying granules from farmers despite the closure of the trade season, which he said was out of its responsibility. He also disclosed that adequate fertilizer would be distributed to farmers for the upcoming rainy season.
Farmers, they are the owners of their product. They decided to hoard, waiting for other people to come and buy it. those people fail to come. We have a duty of care to our farmers, and as we speak right now, we are buying groundnuts from them. We have the records. I'm sure if I go out, they will tell me yesterday how much it was bought.
We believe that the farmers earn money only once in a year, and that is when they sell their groundnuts. So our whole idea when we started bringing fertilizer was the fertilizer to be available at the CPMSs, and then when the farmers sell their groundnuts, then they can buy the fertilizer and take it home.
The committee proceeded to Banjul, where construction of a magnificent building for the Foreign Affairs Ministry is at advanced stage. The contractor said the work will be completed within this year. At the end of this monitoring exercise, the committee chair had this to say.
The overall assessment is good. This is what we expect from every genuine Gambian. In law, there is a term called justice need to be done and seen to be done. In projects also, once projects are designed, they need to be seen implemented, and this is what we are. This is what we are witnessing, and this is what we are monitoring. Our committee's role is to monitor government infrastructural projects, so that the taxpayers will know where their money is going to.
The tour continues the next day. Ibrahim Jallo, GRTS News.
The United Nations Assistant Secretary is in the Gambia for a 3-day visit. The UN envoy will meet with relevant stakeholders on nutrition in a view to encouraging nutritional values, as well as listen to concerns for possible implementation of projects under the National Nutrition Agency. Modulamin Sane tells us more.
This consultative meeting with stakeholders under the Nutrition Agency aims to encourage collaboration and help Gambia become champion of nutrition through increased funding and implementation. Discussions here between officials of the National Nutrition Agency, civil society and coordinators of the Sun Movement took place in an open platform designed to map out the way forward on the current state of the country's nutrition.
Nutrition is not something that can be delivered by the Minister of Health, nor by the Minister of Agriculture. At the contrary, you need the different ministries, including the Minister of Finance, including the Minister of Education, Planning, Economic Development, to come together and to recognize that nutrition is a cross-cutting topic, but at the same time an enabler and a maker of marker of nutrition.
The program also looks to promote domestic nutrition via the education system.
What we want to see, all of us to own the nutrition and say that nutrition is not only funded at the National Nutrition Agency, neither for the Ministry of Health, but all of us, and then we agree. And I think we all have started the process when we were developing the National Nutrition Policy. When we came to set up the targets, it was not only set by the National Nutrition Agency, but rather all of us who participated agreed that these were the targets, and this is where we want to bring the targets in terms of coverage in the couple of years to come.
Officials are encouraging the involvement and active participation of the civil society to drive changes aiming to significantly raise the country's nutritional basket.
Request the stakeholders to come to the table and to mirror the government, how it stands, where it stands, whether the government is taking the right or is picking the right priorities, is investing, is submitting indeed the budget, etc., how the collaboration is between the different stakeholders, and what could be done better.
With the responsibility to advocate for speedy implementation of the projects by engaging government, the UN agency is planning to execute efforts moving to realize nutritional objectives.
In our work with the communities in terms of nutrition, we make sure that communities know that access to nutrition is not a favor from a government, but somebody's right. It's your right to have access to nutrition. But to enable CSOs to properly deliver those information rightly, so that there will be no chaos, there will be no problem in the society, there will be no class, there must be the national capacity to do so.
We cannot operate in silo without support from government. But it's also very important for us to establish regular platforms whereby we can inform government or give them feedback, so that when plannings are being done, budgets are being prepared, and other things are being implemented, they can really know that this thing has been ongoing and they didn't duplicate efforts. So I think that's one of the key things, Madam, I want you to really discuss with the government as you meet with them.
The UN delegation, accompanied by officials of the National Nutrition Agency, is now expected to embark on a field visit to inspect nutrition projects across the country. In the final debriefing session, a stakeholder meeting between government and UN officials is scheduled to cap the visit. Reporting for GRTS News, I am Mudulamin Sane.
Still on nutrition, farmers in the Central River region have described the EU-funded Project DOB, Post-Crisis Response to Food and Nutrition Insecurity in the Gambia, as a life-changing intervention. The 6-month Cash for Work scheme seeks to build resilience of vulnerable communities across the country. Falilu Janko has details of that story.
Intensive community outreach program scheduled to last for 29 months is aimed at contributing to the reduction of stunt growth among children under the age of 2 in the country by addressing both the underlying causes and immediate needs of malnourished children and households at risk. It has been executed by FAO, the World Food Programme, WFP, and UNICEF via the institution of corporate mandates. Expertise and other cooperative advantages focus on supporting vulnerable families in rural Gambia. The intervention is being implemented in the North Bank, Lower River, Central River, and Upper River regions, with FAO serving as the lead implementing agency. The Cash for Work scheme enables over 900 farmers representing more than 7,000 people selected based on the vulnerability of their children and malnutrition levels. The scheme seeks to boost food production and household incomes by improving viable areas for growth, such as provision of access roads to rice fields to reduce vulnerability to floods and increase the flow of water into the irrigated rice schemes. The yield from this program can support families and allay poverty. A monthly wage of $3,600 going to each beneficiary is also designed to ensure households focus on providing the right nutrition for the children. More than 2,040 hectares of tidal irrigation area has been rehabilitated in both CRR North and South. The vast Jahari district, a 6-kilometer irrigation canal, is also being cleared and desilted. This includes 4 installed culverts and a 3-kilometer long irrigation feeder canal. At the Pachar rice fields, a perimeter of 19 kilometers has been cleared to accommodate the new rice scheme. Interventions here also include a fully installed culvert. Villages in the nearby Sukuta in the Nani district have also seen the rehabilitation to their areas. Rice fields, including the clearing of a 3-kilometer access roads to rice fields, including the clearing of their main feeder irrigation canals. Not only has the intervention supported these food and nutrition deficient households to earn income for basic needs, it is also discouraging many youths like Bubanjai of Brikama Bar from embarking on the perilous journey to Europe.
Because we don't believe in plan and do I understand, so until 4 boys we are plan. Why na brother will be okay, wale mulkumani na another mobilize
Here, speakers outlined the impact of the Cash for Work project, especially during difficult months in the year. At Nyani Sukuta, farmers expressed how the scheme supported them through the season, which yielded a poor harvest exacerbated by damage caused by hippos. The project has brought hope, and farmers here say with more farming equipment, the next harvest will be a good one. Landing Sedili, the senior agricultural assistant for CRR South, says the construction of the culverts in the rice fields by the farmers has reduced major constraints experienced at the Jahari Pachar rice fields, but farmers still need more assistance to increase production and productivity.
It's the biggest constraint because it is the one that affects all the production in the schemes. That is the flood. That's why we first attack it so that the other ones may surface later.
Pamusa Kijera, the Red Cross Regional Coordinator, who has been closely monitoring activities, also highlight how the Cash for Work project has improved livelihoods in recent months. He is optimistic that the initiative will enhance rice production in the area.
The first part of it, it has bring unity among themselves, a big unity. That's an impact. And again, it has bring collaboration within themselves and sympathy within themselves.
The management of Bansang Hospital on Saturday commemorated their annual award ceremony and held service delivery statistics presentation in Bansang. The forum is part of celebrations marking the hospital's 80 years of existence. Jackie Toure has more on that.
Family called Bansang Protectorate Hospital. Bansang Hospital, which houses over 300 staff, hold its latest award ceremony. In this year's commemoration, its management organized an award ceremony to recognize staff who immensely contributed the provision of quality health services to patients. While underlining the significance of the event, the Bansang Hospital Chief Executive Officer, Baba Jeng, dilated on various activities captured in their annual report.
In 2017, a total of 75,566 patients were registered in seeking healthcare services in Bansang Hospital. Out of this number, 7% were admitted for further care and 2% were referred in as emergency cases from health facilities within and outside the region. The emergency
their hard work. He also said that commemorating the 80th birthday of the hospital means a lot and therefore urged its personnel and management to keep the momentum. Going by the statistics of the hospital, Board Chairman Mamadou K. Cham revealed his desire to reduce referrals from Bansang Hospital to Edward Francis Small Teaching Hospital by more than 90%.
My desire is to respond to the demand of the Alcalo of Bansang. We would like to reform this hospital to reduce referrals from Bansang to Edward Francis. By 2020, Bansang Hospital is going to be the leader in healthcare quality delivery.
The service delivery statistics of the hospital was presented, offering a unique platform for the hospital management to share such data with stakeholders so as to help foster more collaboration for the betterment of the hospital. Done alongside the inauguration of a newly built pediatric set, deserving staff were later awarded certificates and cash for their dedicated commitment to work. Reporting for GRTS News, I am Jackie Toure.
The National Youth Council, in collaboration with UNICEF, has convened a forum on transitional justice for students. The program was meant to consult and discuss issues relating to transitional justice processes. Asatu Keita tells us more.
Speaking during the three-day conclave, Marcus Bayer of UNICEF said the initiative is to expose participants to the policies of transitional justice.
We really want to make sure we understand what you think, we understand what are your concerns, and we can really take, action and try to protect your interests and your rights at best. So that's the role of UNICEF, but that's also the role of the new government.
The Executive Secretary of the Truth, Reconciliation and Reparation Commission, Dr. Baba Gale Jallow, underlined the role of TRRC alongside its Youth Commission on Access to Justice. This, he said, aims to encourage people to confess crimes committed, thereby allowing victims calls to access justice.
What we are trying to do in Gambia is to have a process that is very inclusive, especially inclusive of the young people, because the young people are the future of the country, and we need to have a conversation on why is dictatorship possible in this country and how can we prevent dictatorship again happening in this country, which is part of the mandate, which is the main mandate really of the Truth Commission.
From a religious perspective, Maria Masingata and Mam Job of the Ministry of Justice particularly deliberated on the TRRC Act regarding victims who suffered crimes during the concerned period.
We will use traditional leaders and religious leaders to also speak to the people about these issues.
We hope that you will benefit from this weekend, learn from it to ensure that once the mechanisms of the transitional justice start taking shape, you will be part of it.
The country representative of the International Center for Transitional Justice, Joanna Rice, highlighted the participative role of children in the TRRC. He also delved on transitional justice process and TRRC's work across communities in relation to the consequences of massive human rights violations. Students, among them Sehuna Babu of Nasir Senior Secondary School and Modela Jeng of Esau Senior Secondary School, applauded the gesture, which seeks to enhance justice delivery in the Gambia.
If I go to my region, I will try and sensitize some of my fellow students about the importance of TRRC.
With students from different regions across the country, it is hoped that this transitional justice consultation will enhance the orientation of the 33 students on matters concerning the TRRC and transitional justice. For Grts News, I am Aissatou Keita.
The community of Mbapa in the North Bank region is faced with more than a decade-old gully that is threatening lives and livelihoods of the community. Sawel Ba recently visited the area to assess the impact of one of the country's erosion menace.
This is Mbapa village, situated along the Gambia-Senegal borderline. The agrarian community has been faced with this erosion problem that left perhaps one of the biggest gullies in the country.
See, the gully behind me is a very serious case. This is an accumulation of many years, about 10 to 15 years, as a result of inappropriate farming practices in terms of plowing.
The gully formation starts at the outskirts of the village from this upslope bordering Gambia and Senegal.
From the upland where the gully started, went over there, you see how small it is. And it's not very wide, so we can put what we call a riprap. These are stone structures that we put across the waterway so that it can impede the velocity of the moving water.
Locals say the gully has speedily expanded from its source in the last 10 years, exposing them to more risks.
They are generally affected. They are threatened, they are affected in all aspects of their life. If you look at when we are coming, you see some of the houses, they are already threatened. We are thinking even the next summer, some of these houses will wash away. These are the problems that they are facing, and it's been a long time now. I think this is about almost 10, 15 years back.
Village Alcalo and Imam recalled some of the ugly incidents associated with the gully. This woman explains how a mother lost her child in the process of crossing over to the other side of the village during the rains.
Now, this gully has divided the village into two, which is very inconvenient for the communities that live here. So, recommendation one, top priority, in my own opinion, is that the current government should establish, under the Ministry of Agriculture, should establish a Department of Soil and Water Conservation.
These are farmers. They have, farm products that are to be collected from the farms to the home. They cannot access this side. That is affecting them in that way. If you look at this population, they have a lot of animals. You can see the goats, the cows, and the horse. So many a time they will collapse here and die.
The gully's depth is estimated at 10 meters, and the further we film, the deeper it appears. Here at the center of the village, livelihoods are seriously threatened. These houses may fall anytime the heavens open up.
We are not saying that this is a total, measure to stop the problem, but it's just part of it. So we thought it fitting to at least have all the stakeholders to come so that they can look at this holistically at the bigger picture.
The gully is a nightmare for the community of Mbapa that has been split into two, and their only solace for now is this footbridge, which facilitates movements to either sides of the village.
The impact of this gully are many. If we look at the commuters are having problems, so they cannot cross from north to south. You see, if we look at the movement, it restricts the movement because people are afraid to move across this, and it's very depth. If we look at it, it's 10-meter depth, so it's very difficult to cross.
The educational impact of the escalating gully is far-reaching.
The educational impact is really very immense. The fact that you can see this more than 10-meter deep gully, and the school is just behind us, as you can see from the television.
children were finding very difficult to access the school, and their teachers and of course their parents. So in the long run, if this is not addressed, in fact, the school may be even threatened and eroded completely. And you can imagine the amount of resources spent. It will increase our out-of-school children rate.
Even livestock are not spared from the environmental problem. Immediate intervention is needed to save this community from further destruction by the erosion problem. Samuel Bach, GRTS.
The Ministry of Foreign Affairs informs the public that member states of the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, OIC, at its session held in Bangladesh, has unanimously adopted the Gambia's proposed resolution for the establishment of an OIC ad hoc committee on accountability for human rights violations against the Rohingya people in Myanmar. The high-level meeting was held under the theme, Islamic Values for Sustainable Peace and Development. The delegation, headed by the Minister of Justice, Abubakar Tambedu, on behalf of the Foreign Affairs Minister, reaffirmed the Gambia's solidarity with Bangladesh and the Rohingya Muslims. The delegation further expressed appreciation of member states for delivering humanitarian aid to the camps in Bangladesh and appealed for more assistance to support the Rohingyas. Well, it's time now to take our first break.
This must be one of Mother Nature's greatest gifts. But there's something else it gives us. When we see such beauty, we want to share it with those we love. That's why we want you to see it, just as we see it now. LG OLED TV.
Neex cafka gu am solo sa biir gémmiñ ak fiirtaange gu amul fenn la Top Saho drink bu ees bi ñu tënk ko ci 33 centilitre di la jox ma ne saa yu njaboot gi daje di lekk Top Saho drink nga fa génn ndax bànneex ak kontaante gu am solo laa indil njaboot gi yëpp Top Saho drink fees del ak vitamine C moo gën pour njaboot gi Top Saho drink ak a neex ma ne saa yu amee jotaay mbégte sëy wala taka Top Saho drink nga ci génn ndax dafa neexal torop sa feet ñëpp di ci bànneexu ma ne ñamal seen Top Saho fruit drink si ñu am ko ci flavors yu bari demee na ci orange mango ak yeneen tropical fruit flavors Top Saho am na lactic drinks tamit ñu fees del ak vitamine C ak calcium Top Saho am na yogurt fruits tamit tamarind juice di energy drink bu laa jox doole bu amul fenn ma ne ñamal xee ci Top Saho fruit drinks yi nga xam ne ute naa ki fi nekk Top Saho drinks yi nag ñu leen ko indil di top food te top food amul werante mu gën ci Afrika
Welcome back and over now to sports. The victorious under-20 team has returned home from Liberia after winning the crown for the West African Football Union Youth Champions. Momodo S. Jallo was among jubilant fans to welcome the boys and fathom this report.
Finally, the moment that football fans have been waiting for is here. The aircraft carrying the victorious under-17 has just landed here at the Banjul International Airport tarmac. At any moment from now, the triumphant Junior Scorpions, the victorious Junior Scorpions, will majestically walk out of that aircraft.
The champions emerged from the plane with the trophy held aloft by Gambia's greatest footballer, the legendary Biri Biri, who flew along with Lamin Kababajo, president of the Gambia Football Federation, toward the final in Monrovia. The new darlings of Gambian football, who have made the whole country proud, were received at the foot of the aircraft by officials of the Gambia Football Federation and the Ministry of Youth and Sports. The Junior Scorpions were crowned champions of the West African Football Union's Under-20 Championship after beating the tournament host Liberia 2-1 at the Samuel Kedo Stadium. It was a joyous homecoming for the players who have ended the country's near-decade-long trophy drought and the first silverware under the current GFF leadership.
The satisfaction is enormous. It is for the fans, the football fraternity. And yes, this has eluded them for years. And thank God we are able to bring this joy to their face.
We are more than the one happy, and we are grateful. I hope this will bring the football family together.
This is the trophy that they have brought. It's been nearly 10 years. The Gambia has not won a silverware. But these boys have finally broken that, and they are home with this beautiful trophy.
Veteran football icon Alaji Jai Biri Biri paid tribute to the gallantry exhibited by the young players.
I am so excited and happy. The day of the match, I addressed the team and I told them that I want you to revenge and pay what Liberia did to me in 1979. And that's what the boys have done, and I am really excited and happy.
The team went into the sub-regional tournament with little fanfare, and as one of the underdogs, but defied all odds to cling the trophy. They were not only champions, but did it in style by maintaining an unbeaten run throughout the tournament, and coming home victorious was a joyous feeling for Coach Matambo and his players.
The thing I'm most happy about is that these players, all 20 of them, they're all together. Everywhere they go, they're singing and dancing, laughing and joking. They have the highest team spirit I've seen in any of the national teams I've worked with. And to me, that has been the secret.
It feels a lot to me because, as you said, it's my first time playing for my country. And it's my first time winning such a big tournament. It's a very big thing. It's not because only of me, because of the team. We have a very good under-20 squad, and I hope we will keep the team together.
Jubilant fans waited for hours to welcome the gallant young Scorpions, who have just rekindled hopes for the country's struggling football. And for these passionate supporters, it was nice to be back at the airport once again after so many years to welcome a victorious national team. From the airport, the team, accompanied by fanfare, drove through the Kombosila Drive to the football house in Carnival. Several people came out to cheer the lads and catch a glimpse of the trophy. The junior Scorpions, however, have little time to celebrate as they seek attention to a more demanding task at hand in the coming few days, when the newly crowned champions host their equivalents from Benin at the Independence Stadium on Sunday in the first leg of the first round of qualifiers for the 2019 CAF Under-20 Championship in Niger. Modest Diallo, Grts Sports.
Congratulations, boys. Nokunda has been crowned champions of the Upper Badibo football tournament after defeating Kubandar in the post-match penalty shootout following a goalless draw in regular time. Esa Sow tells us more.
The final, played at the Farafenni Mini Stadium, brought an end to what has been a keenly contested tournament between the respective communities in Upper Badibo. Both sides navigated a tight route to the final following a stiff competition from the other sides. Fans and spectators filled the mini stadium ahead of kickoff as the two sides square off against each other for the coveted trophy. Shortly after the respective pre-match ceremonies, Central Referee Modu Saj got proceedings on the pitch in full swing. Both sides made a lackluster start to the game with few openings created in the first 20 minutes, leaving both shot stoppers with little or no work to do. Usman Mane of Nokunda provided some brilliant moments down the left wing afterwards, often sparking without turning into light. Omar Kamara of Kubandar, the tournament's leading goal scorer, also had his fair share of chances but could not add to his tally. The first half ended 0-0, and upon resumption, much didn't change in the second half, with both sides creating fewer chances. As the minutes went by, it became nervy in the stands, with the game looking increasingly likely to be settled in a post-match penalty shootout. And so it did. Central referee Modu Saj whistled finally for a nail-biting penalty shootout. Nokunda went on to win 5-4 with second-half substitute Modu Trawale missing the decisive spot kick. Shortly after the game, both coaches also spoke to GRTS.
Well, I'm very happy about the victory today. We have done a lot of preparation. I know it has not been an easy final for us, but thank God we emerged victorious here, and I'm encouraging the boys to keep up the spirit for the next season.
for the fact that the tie was decided in a post-match penalty shootout. It was a contested affair. I'm therefore congratulating my opponents and wishing my boys better luck next time.
I was so happy because the young people, how they can come together and organize a tournament like this at the body, that was very good. And also as a elder person, and then the supporter of the football, I was in football for a long time ago, and then I see people from Badibu, young people from Badibu, they organize a tournament like this. I was so happy.
As winners, Nokunda went home with the trophy and a cash prize of $15,000. The runners of Kubandar received $10,000. Omar Kamara, who scored 4 goals, received the top scorer prize. SRSO, GRTS News.
We will take a second break now. When we return, we will look at news from outside the Gambia. Stay tuned.
It's back again. Yes. Last year, we gave away a brand new Hyundai Accent. This year, we are giving out a Hyundai Tucson 4-wheel. Isn't that cool? For a limited time only, you can stand a chance of winning bags of rice, onions, sugar, and 20 liters of pure vegetable cooking oil by maintaining a deposit balance of $10,000 to $50,000 in your GT Bank account for 3 months. And when you deposit over $50,000, you could win a motorcycle, fridge freezer, or a 32-inch LED TV. And even more, maintain over $200,000 in your GT Bank account from April to December and stand a chance to win a brand new Hyundai Tucson or catch a return ticket to Dubai plus $2,000 pocket money or a bedroom set. So start saving now. Be a winner with GT Bank. GT Bank Save and Win. Terms and conditions apply. GT Bank. Wouldn't you rather bank with us?
Welcome back. Many African countries are watching developments between China and the U.S. with keen interest. There are fears that any escalation in the trade dispute could have repercussions on the continent, as China is Africa's biggest trading partner. CGTN's Adija Batmus reports from Lagos.
Economic experts are keenly following the trade tension between the United States and China. It is Nigeria, and the reason is very obvious. China is Nigeria's major trading partner. In 2017 alone, bilateral trade between both countries was estimated at $13.78 billion. China's export accounting for most of it. And America may no longer be Nigeria's top trading partner. It's still an important one, with bilateral trade between both countries estimated at $9 billion in 2016. But experts say neither Nigeria nor Africa as a whole needs to worry too much about any consequence the trade war may have here.
It could lead to increase in some cost components and the death of certain technology. But I do not think African countries that are going to suffer from the trickle-down effect or ripple effect of the crisis will suffer severely. In the first place, I do not even think China will suffer severely. China will lose some of its growth, but not a severe, it's not going to lead to an economic crisis. So if it's not going to lead to an economic crisis in China, Africans or African countries that will only suffer the side effect of this trade war are not going to suffer severely.
As both sides of the dispute continue to talk, economist Gabriel Idahosa says it will be in the interest of all to reach some compromise and strike a deal to end the trade dispute.
That is, we have to be involved in a give and take situation where America is trying to say you need to open up a bit, and China is saying you have to open up a bit. You need to restrict the amount of subsidies and incentives you give your exporters. That makes their goods cheaper to enter America, and they also will want America to reduce the kind of subsidies they give to a company like Boeing in the aviation industry. That makes it easy for aviation equipment to be very competitive.
For now, Nigeria and Africa continue to watch from the sidelines as the two economic powers square it out. But there's a strong air of optimism here that this trade tension would not last and that the fallout would have little or no bearing on the relations between Africa and the two economic powers.
Dejibatno, CGTN, Lagos, Nigeria.
Kenya's President Uhuru Kenyatta has won this year's African Road Builders Babakanjai Award. The prize recognizes heads of state who have implemented infrastructure projects in their countries. Kenyatta has been credited for his role in developing the Chinese-built standard gauge railway line. It links the coastal city of Mombasa to the capital Nairobi. Last year's winner was Senegalese President Macky Sall for his development of the Nyamdiado new city.
Projects in their countries. Kenyatta has been credited for his role in developing the Chinese-built standard gauge railway line. It links the coastal city of Mombasa to the capital Nairobi. Kenyatta will receive his award at a ceremony on the 23rd of May in Busan in South Korea. Last year's winner was Senegal's President Macky Sall for his development of the Diamniadio new city.
For this year, we chose the President of Kenya, Uhuru Kenyatta, on base of 3 criteria. The first one is the social impact of all the infrastructure built in Kenya those last years. And in second, we choose the environment respect of all these projects and also the innovations of the financing of those projects. In the airline transport politics, now in Kenya, we can take an airplane from Nairobi to Mombasa for just $22. That's only for this example we can choose the President Uhuru Kenyatta.
There are many, many roads currently being built, including a road called the Outer Ring road that comes all the way from the airport and connecting to the Thika superhighway. It has really eased off traffic congestion in that part of the city. In 2013, we are into a new constitution where 15% of the national budget is given to the regional governments, the counties. And a good chunk of that money is being used by the governors to build roads. So wherever you go in Kenya now, there are roads and roads and roads.
Depuis son accession à la magistrature suprême,
since he took office, President Macky Sall gave priority to infrastructure in his National Development Program, which is Senegal's emergent plan. New infrastructure facilitates mobility, agricultural production, and industry. Diamaniado is being built to reposition Senegal on the commercial and international level based on economic activities.
Welcome back, and before we take leave of you, a recap of the day's main stories. The National Assembly Select Committee has inspected various government rehabilitation projects in Banjul. The United Nations Assistant Secretary is in the Gambia to encourage nutritional values with relevant stakeholders. The Gambia's under-20 football team have been crowned winners of the 2018 West African Football Union Youth Championship. And African countries are worried that escalation of trade dispute between China and US could impact on the continent. Well, viewers, that was all in this edition of the news. Thanks for your time, and do stay with GRTS.